Welcome back to Haunted Trail, True Camping Horrors. I'm Marcus Thompson. Tonight, we journey into a case that blurs the line between human fear and the primal unknown, deep within the treacherous heart of Blackwood National Forest. This is a place of breathtaking beauty, but also of ancient, silent dangers. On a crisp autumn morning, October 14, 2017, Ethan Riley, a seasoned solo camper and outdoors enthusiast, embarked on what was meant to be a challenging yet familiar 5-day trek. At 29, Riley was meticulous in his preparations, his gear top-notch, his navigation skills honed by years of backcountry experience. He left a detailed itinerary with his family, charting a course through some of Blackwood's most remote and untamed sections. He was expected to check in via satellite phone on the third day. He never did.
It's so common, isn't it, Marcus? This call of the wild. People seek out these isolated places for peace, for a challenge, to disconnect. But the wilderness is indifferent. It doesn't care about your experience or your carefully planned itinerary. For Ethan, I imagine it was about that pure, unadulterated connection with nature. He wasn't reckless, he was prepared. That's what makes his disappearance so much more unsettling. It shatters the illusion of control we try to maintain, even in the most remote settings. His family waited, growing increasingly anxious as the days bled into silence, a silence that felt heavy with foreboding.
When Ethan missed his scheduled check-in, his family, knowing his strict adherence to safety protocols, immediately contacted the authorities. Blackwood Park Rangers launched an initial search, quickly escalating to a multi-agency operation involving local sheriff's deputies, state police, and specialized search and rescue teams. Days turned into a week, the dense forest seemingly swallowing all traces of the experienced hiker. Then, almost 10 days after he was last seen, a break. A search team, following the approximate coordinates from Riley's itinerary, discovered his campsite deep within the designated area. But what they found wasn't a typical abandoned camp.
I can only imagine the scene, that rush of hope quickly replaced by a chilling realization. His tent was there, yes, but it wasn't simply packed away or slightly disturbed. It was ripped, as if by immense force, a long, jagged tear down one side. His sleeping bag lay tangled within, but no sign of Ethan. And then, the footprints. Large, almost impossibly so, much larger than any average human foot, pressed deeply into the soft earth around the perimeter of the camp. They were distinct, bare, with clear toe impressions, but without any discernible arch, almost flat-footed, and oddly splayed. What kind of creature leaves a print like that? It sends shivers down your spine.
The discovery of the shredded tent and the perplexing footprints immediately shifted the investigation's focus. Initial theories ranged from a freak bear attack, though no typical claw marks or feeding signs were present, to a violent encounter with an unknown assailant. Forensic experts were called in, painstakingly documenting the scene. Plaster casts were made of the unusual prints, which baffled even seasoned trackers. They weren't precisely human, nor did they perfectly match any known indigenous wildlife. The sheer power required to tear the heavy-duty tent fabric was also a point of intense speculation. No struggle was evident, no personal belongings scattered, just this violent, almost surgical destruction of the tent. And the silence.
This is where the narrative descends into truly unsettling territory. The lack of conventional evidence is itself a chilling piece of evidence. If it was an animal, wouldn't there be more chaos, more signs of a struggle or a feeding? And if it was human, why no theft, no other obvious disturbance? The prints suggest something powerfully built, perhaps even bipedal, but distinctly other. It's the kind of detail that feeds into local legends, the old tales of the forest keeping its secrets, or of unseen cryptids that roam the deepest woods. For investigators, however, they had to remain grounded in observable facts, no matter how bizarre, looking for any shred of tangible evidence to guide them.
As the official investigation pressed on, the lack of concrete answers fueled rampant speculation among the public and the small, close-knit communities bordering Blackwood. Local park rangers and longtime residents began to recount old stories, tales passed down through generations of a reclusive, territorial forest man or shadow walker that supposedly inhabited the deepest reaches of the wilderness, rarely seen but often felt. These were often dismissed as folklore, but Ethan Riley's case brought them back into chilling focus. Authorities, while acknowledging the oddity of the footprints, focused on more conventional lines of inquiry, interviewing anyone who might have seen Riley on the trail, checking for any potential human activity in the remote area.
It's a natural human tendency to try to make sense of the unexplainable, especially when something so terrifying happens in familiar territory. When facts are scarce, our imaginations fill the void, often with echoes of ancient fears. The Forest Man legends, in a way, are a community's attempt to give a name to the nameless dread of the wilderness. For Ethan's family, however, these theories offered little comfort. They were clinging to any shred of hope, while the silence of the forest and the increasingly bizarre details of the case made that hope dwindle with each passing day. The police, meanwhile, explored every conventional avenue, from missing persons cases with suspicious circumstances to potential transient activity. But every lead led to a dead end, obscured by the very wilderness they were trying to penetrate.
Despite exhaustive search efforts that covered hundreds of square miles, utilizing K-9 units, thermal imaging, and aerial surveillance, no further trace of Ethan Riley or his remaining gear was ever found. The mysterious footprints remained the most compelling, yet unidentifiable piece of physical evidence. With no body, no weapon, and no clear perpetrator, the Blackwood National Forest disappearance slowly transitioned into a cold case. The initial flurry of media attention faded, but for Ethan Riley's family, the agonizing uncertainty persisted, a wound that refused to heal. Detective Reynolds, the lead investigator, later admitted in an interview that it was one of the most frustrating cases of his career, remarking, "It was as if the forest itself simply swallowed him whole."
That feeling of the wilderness reclaiming someone, absorbing them without a trace, is a truly terrifying thought. It strips away our sense of safety, even our understanding of the natural order. For the family, to have no closure, no grave to visit, no answer as to what took their son, it must be an unbearable burden. They're left not just with grief, but with an endless question mark. The unseen beast might have been a territorial animal, or perhaps something far more sinister, a human predator who knew the wilderness intimately enough to erase every trace. The prints, perhaps, were a deliberate misdirection, a macabre message left behind. The truth, for now, remains hidden amongst the ancient trees and shadows of Blackwood.
Years have now passed since Ethan Riley vanished without a trace in Blackwood National Forest. The official status of the case remains missing, presumed deceased, but the mystery of what exactly transpired at his campsite that autumn evening continues to haunt all involved. The strange footprints have never been definitively identified, leaving room for continued speculation about whether a rare animal, an unknown cryptid, or a cunning human assailant was responsible. The story of Ethan Riley serves as a stark reminder of the raw power of the wilderness and how quickly nature can reclaim what it views as its own.
Indeed, Marcus. Ethan's story, while a tragedy, also serves as a potent cautionary tale. It emphasizes that even the most prepared adventurers can fall victim to circumstances beyond their control, whether it's the unpredictable forces of nature or the darker intentions of others. The legacy of Footprints of the Unseen Beast is not just the unanswered questions, but the enduring chill it casts over Blackwood, forever changing how people perceive its deep, ancient woods. It reminds us that sometimes the true horrors aren't the monsters of legend, but the ones we cannot explain, the ones that leave only faint, unsettling echoes behind. The question isn't just what happened, but why the forest itself seems to conspire in keeping its